Hey, what's going on, guys? Joe here from JPRC. On the bench today, we're taking a first look at the Sakura D4 drift car. Now, this car comes in two versions. There's an all-wheel drive version and there's a rear-wheel drive version. The one on the bench we have is the rear-wheel drive version. Now, before I start, I have to thank my friend Mike for it because this car belongs to him and he's very kind. He's letting us to have a first look before he even takes it out for drifting. So, Mike, thank you for that. Now, the D4 is a successor to the D3, which is a all-wheel drive drift car, also from Sakura that I have. In this video, we're gonna point out some of the difference based on my experience with the D3, and then point out the difference on the D4. There won't be any driving video in this video for this time, but definitely there'll be more up to coming. So stay tuned for that. Now, this D4 drift car uses a fiberglass chassis with a double deck design. The overall quality of the car is pretty impressive compared to the D3, where these are high quality, strong, really rigid, reinforced fiberglass plate upper and lower. A very sleek design. The previous version of the D3 uses a plastic tube chassis that's molded, and so that's a level upgrade on the chassis material here and design overall. And it also comes with the aluminum thread shocks in all four corners, and they look like it's a carryover from the D3, maybe with some minor changes in the suspension rates. The shock tower actually also made from the fiberglass plates as well. They're actually very thick, much thicker than the chassis itself. The shock towers are 4mm plates, whereas the chassis are 3mm plates. Anyway, so take a look at it up front. You can see the two-wheel drive model has some pretty impressive, I would call insane, steering angles up front. Because it's a two-wheel drive, so when you're initiating a drift, you need some massive steering angle to pull yourself out of the car. From a market offering perspective, there's not another one at this price point that had these kind of features. Many guys have done hardcore drifting. They have to go and extend and upgrade to, like, you know, extreme aftermarket parts to get that level of steering angle. Now, also the suspension A-arms here on the up front, it's also very unique, and I like it a lot. The lower A-arm has a very lean design, as you can see here. It is also labeled rear-wheel drive, so that helps to point out the difference when you're putting out building this together with the all-wheel drive version or the rear-wheel drive version. I guess it comes in the same parts tree. So the lean design on the suspension A-arm here helps to clear for the steering angle here, which is crazily massive. The overall quality, it's actually the position in it's very amazing here. Now, what I mean is, even though when I have the the steering fully, turned all the way, and there's no binding on the wheel here, and that's pretty impressive. The amount of space, left between there is very little, but unlike other cars that are turning at a certain angle, that will bind. As you can see, there's a big opening up front here. That's where the front diff or front lock axle for the all-wheel drive is supposed to be at, because it's two-wheel drive. We don't have that up front. Also, the drive axle has been removed as well. So moving down to the car in the center here, the steering component here, it's all sitting on ball bearing. It has a very hot pink purple aluminum anodized aluminum design, but it does get the job done. It's pretty cool. And we'll talk about the electronics in a little bit, because we bought these electronics from RC Mart as a kid, so we're going to into them a little bit. I'm gonna look at the battery tray. They offer you two battery tray mount position. I have checked out both options, but pretty much, in theory, when you have the battery sitting in the middle, more weight shifted up front, that means the tail, it's more tail happy, so drifting will be easier to initiate if you have the battery mounted up in the back here. It'll be more difficult to initiate a drift, but I guess it'll be easier to control. And switching from the middle battery plate to the rear battery plate, it's only a couple screws. you unscrew the mount here, and then it goes onto the rear plate here, and that's pretty straightforward. It takes about 10 minutes to do it, so you can do it while you're on the track or in the field, doing quick test changes. Now looking at the rear drivetrain, it uses a bulkhead, aluminum bulkhead here with plastic spurs with a single belt going to the rear lock diff or lock axle, so for two-wheel drive drift, and that's very efficient. The belt drive definitely helps to deliver more smooth power, and that's required pretty much for some hardcore drifting. Now, while the bulkhead, I mean not the bulkhead, the motor plate here, motor mount, it looks pretty cool with all that aluminum, but I find some limitation with the pinion size I can put on it. What I have installed right now is I think it's a 27 tooth pinion, but when I try a 31 tooth pinion, it was already too big, because it won't have enough room for it to move back and forth to fit a 32 teeth pinion in there. And I also tried using a 21 tooth pinion, and then it was not enough room. It couldn't get close enough for a 21 tooth pinion to fit. So I settled on a 27 tooth, and that motor temp, it's okay from some of our testing. Now in the back here, you can see the similar shocks are used with the front. The difference between the rear ones and the front is that the rear has these soft springs, while the front has harder springs. But in the back, we're using stiffer oil as instructed. Now looking at the electronics here. Now because Mike he bought this as a kit, as a package from RC Mart. It does come with these OMG servo here, which is a pretty crazy servo. It's 0.09 seconds per 60 degrees. So what that means you'll do is just flap your front wheels really quick. It's a drift servo. It doesn't have a lot of torque, but it's gonna do a good job at drifting. From RC Mart package, we also have the drift gyro here. So that is the magic in for any beginners trying to learn to drift. The gyro will help you to automatically introduce steering input, depending on the position of the car to keep it in control. So we'll definitely show you when we're taking it out for running and how that works. And then for the motor and ESC, we picked up some very basic hardware here. This is the Year Racing 13-turn brush motor with a Tiptronic 2 to 3S LiPo capable waterproof ESC. Since the car is not gonna have a lot of speed, having a brush motor actually gives you more precise throttle control without having to spend money on a full-blown censored ESC motor combo. And then when you look at the bottom of the chassis, and the overall quality continues here, and I really like the design of it. The price entry point for this car, it's about $120. So that is really good price for a kit of this quality compared to some of the the hardcore drift kit that is being offered in the upper range of $500. And compare this one to the previous version of the D3, it definitely has much higher quality, and I'm really excited. I really cannot wait to take it out, try it out with Mike, and try it out side by side and see how it handles. But that's it. That's what I have for you guys on this first look at the Sakura D4 drift car. If you have any questions, post it in the comment there. Always subscribe and thumbs up. Thank you guys. I'll catch you next time.